They practice circumcision for the men, and they face the Kaaba in prayer. Close quote. Now, there's just a couple of things that we just want to mention very quickly. So, the word Hanif in one of the senses means that it's the one who worships Allah alone, makes Hajj, sacrifices the animals to Allah. The men practice circumcision and they face the Kaaba. Because in Arabic, the word for circumcision, there's two words for circumcision. One is khitan and one is khafad. Khitan is what's been mentioned here and what's been made reference to here. Khitan is the word used for the circumcision of men. Now, Imam Ahmed and others have stated that the circumcision for the men is wajib on the 8th day after birth. And someone came to Imam Ahmed rahimahullah once, and he was an old man. He said, "What about for the old?" And Imam Ahmed rahimahullah, he said, "Wasn't the Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam 86 when he circumcised himself and his 13-year-old son?" So this means how important circumcision for males is. Khafad is referring to circumcision for females. As for khafad, there is dispute about that. And when we say khafad, circumcision for women, we need to make a difference here. Khafad is qat'ul budur. Khafad, there are two divisions regarding circumcision for women. One is the khafad al-am, which is the general circumcision, which the labi minora, the labi majora, and all the external vaginal organs are removed. This is not what we're talking about. We are talking about khafad, which is just as the male, when he receives khitan, he has a foreskin, and that foreskin is cut around and it's removed, or a ring is put in its place to help the foreskin come off. The female has around the clitoral organ what is called the hood, the badr around the clitoral organ. That is removed, that extra skin is removed, and nothing else. That, Imam Ahmed and other ulama say, this is valid, but this may be done by the wife as a karrama, a gift to show dedication to the husband, but it's not required. This may be done by the wife, but it's not required. Right? It's not required. Some scholars hold the position that it is required. But I just wanted to mention this because it will come up a little bit later, this difference between khafad and between khitan. And some people don't make the difference between this general khafad, which is what is going on in some countries, and some of them are Muslim, some of these countries, the general khafad and the khafad, the shar'i khafad that has been used. And so we have to appraise ourselves of this, because if people come to us, we need to be able to give them a straight answer when they say, do you Muslims are practicing this female circumcision? We have to be able to say, just a moment, what do you mean? And then we explain and we describe what the case is and what the situation is, and we're able to explain to them. Whether they agree with it or not is different, but at least we're able to accurately present that which we've been told is from this religion that's been handed down to us. Imam Ibn Al-Jawzi rahimahullah, he said, quote, "As far as the tribes that are being referred to in the ayah, the al-asbat, they are the children of Yaqub. There are 12 such tribes, each tribe bearing the name of that founder, which was a son of Yaqub. Az-Zujaj has said, the word tribe in the Arabic language means a group of people which all lead back to one father who is their patriarch. This is the word sibt or sabt. Sibt or sabt in the Arabic language also refers to a tree that has many divisions coming off of it. So the sabt are those who are coming from one original tree, which is the patriarch or founder of their clan. The Exalted One has further said in regards to these affairs, فَإِنْ آمَنُوا بِمِثْلِ مَا آمَنْتُمْ بِهِ فَقَدِ اهْتَدَوْا وَإِنْ تَوَلُّوا فَإِنَّمَا هُمْ فِي شِقَاقٍ فَسَيَكْفِيكَهُمُ اللَّهُ وَهُوَ السَّمِيعُ الْعَلِيمُ صِبْغَةَ اللَّهِ وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ مِنَ اللَّهِ صِبْغَةً وَنَحْنُ لَهُ عَابِدُونَ. Surat Al-Baqarah, the second surah, ayat 136 to 138. In this ayah 137, the Exalted One has said, and if they had believed as you had believed, they would have been guided. And if they turn away, as they had, they will be in trials and tribulations. Allah will suffice you of them. He is the all-hearing, the all-knowing. The dye and cast of Allah, and who is better than Allah to give a dye or hue? We shall be worshippers sincere to Him. If they had believed is the statement of the Exalted One referring to the people of the book. And the statement, if they had believed as you had believed in it, the in it, there are three things that this is referring to. One is, if they had believed and had your faith and your firm conviction. So the expression bihi is used as a way of emphasis. Just as when Allah had said, and when she was driven to the trunk of the date palm. Surah Maryam, the 19th surah, ayah 24. The expression bijid'i is being used, but the ba is used for emphasis. Further, Imam Ibn Al-Hanbali says that the second thing that we also learn is that the intent of the likeness of what was believed in is the book that they received. If they had believed in your book just as you believe in their books that had originally been sent down to them, they would have been guided. Thirdly, it's referring to keeping good relations. So if they had believed as you had believed and kept good relations, it would have been safe. Similarly, if they had believed in Allah as you had believed, as Allah says, لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٍ وَهُوَ السَّمِيعُ الْبَصِيرُ. There is no thing like Him, and He is the all-hearing, the all-seeing. Surah Al-Shura, the 42nd surah, ayah 11. So, these people are in tribulation, and they have enmity and fighting among one another. And they break unity with one another. So they have broken from what they had originally been gathered upon, which was following their Imam, namely their Prophet. And in the process of breaking ranks with their Imam, they have fallen into disparate sects and groups and in tribulation and fighting among one another. And so the Exalted One says, so He, Allah, will suffice you of them. This is referring to the fact that He, Allah, will help the Prophet ﷺ against them. As for the dye of Allah, the sibgha, here the reason for it is actually it's referring to baptism. When the Exalted One says sibghatullah, the reason for it being revealed is that the Christians, whenever a child was born to one of them, they used to take it after 7 days and baptize it in water. And they would say, this is the infant baptism, the confirmation, so that he might be purified by this water. They would also say, this baptism is in place of the circumcision that used to be done by the children of Israel before. And once they did that, they said, now he has become a Christian. And for that reason, Allah sent down this ayah, as stated by Ibn Abbas. Ibn Mas'ud and Ibn Abbas, Abu al-Aliya, Mujahid and Al-Nakha'i and Ibn Zayd both said that when Allah said that the best baptism is the baptism of Allah, or the hue and dye of Allah, it meant His deen, His religion. Al-Farra said that this is the case because it's referring to the millah of Ibrahim. So this sibgha, this baptism, this dye is the religion of Ibrahim. And the dye, part of that dye is referring to the circumcision. The Christians would baptize their children in water and say, this is a purification for them like purification was for the children of Israel before. But in that ayah, Allah is telling the believers to hold on to the sibgha, the dye, the baptism, the hue of Allah, and not the dye, baptism, and hue that the Christians have for their children. Because they believe and intend by it the religion of Ibrahim. Now, it can also be understood from this that the only reason why it's called a sibgha or a dye is because dye or a sibgha for religion or circumcision, it leaves a mark or a trace on the human being, just like dye leaves a trace on clothing. Close quote. Now, there's just a couple of things that I want to mention. I'll try to be as brief as I can. So this particular section, the sibgha, is referring to the baptism and also the hue, which is the religion. Now, Imam Ibn Al-Jawzi, rahimahullah, he captures something in this ayah when he says that it was sent. He mentions why it was sent down, that after 7 days they would baptize the child in water and say that they've had their infant baptism, they've been purified. Now, this is practiced by all 7 rites of the Catholic Church, which is infant baptism. There were no Protestants at this time. Protestants do not practice infant baptism. These are the 7 rites of the Catholic Church: Roman, Byzantine, Russian, Coptic, so forth. So they're practicing this baptism, thinking that this takes the place for our boys. It takes the place of circumcision. And on the 7th day, once they're baptized, they then become full-fledged Christians and part of the Christian community. If you read the Catechism of the Catholic Church, that is precisely what's being stated. It's also to protect them from the stain of original sin, because Christians believe, both Protestant and Catholic, in original sin. And so part of this is to make them a Christian, to save them from judgment if they should die without the unction rites of infant baptism.